what's going on, everyone? Happy New Year's. We are so excited to have you hanging out with us today. My name is David. I'm the lead pastor here at Discover Point, and today is not your normal Sunday. As you can tell, we are only having an online service, and it's what we call Reflection Sunday. And essentially, the whole idea behind this special online experience is to really take a moment and pause before we jump into 2022, before we get into the hustle and bustle of things, but just to pause and reflect on God's faithfulness to us as a church in 2021. And if you're joining us for the first time, we are so honored to have you hanging out with us. And listen, before we do anything else, I want you to do me a favor. As our guest, we want to send you a gift. And so if you will go ahead right now and text DP Connect to 94,000. That way we can reach out to you, send you a gift just as a thank you for hanging out with us today. So in just a couple minutes, you're gonna hear some incredible stories. But before I get into that, I wanna take a moment and just tell you guys about what's coming up here at Discover Point in the next couple weeks. If you are one of our volunteers that serves on Team DP, this Saturday at 6 p.m., you don't want to miss out. We're having our Team DP Gala. It's a dress-up event. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of games, and some amazing surprises. And so you definitely don't want to miss out. Let us know that you're coming. All you need to do is RSVP on the link below. So make sure you go ahead and do that right now. Next Sunday, we're kicking off a brand new series on the book of Nehemiah called Rise and Build. And I believe this is going to be a special, timely message for our church. And so I'm looking forward to it. We also have a study guide that you're going to be able to read through as we go through this series. And then in conjunction with this series, we're doing a 21-day fast that's going to start that very next Monday. And so it's going to be a great month here in January. For more information, you could go online and check out everything that's taking place. All right. Well, today is an exciting day. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is looking back at what God has done in the lives of several individuals here in our church family. And so without further ado, go ahead and check this out.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord, and it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. And it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, God. All the earth and all the earth will shout your praise, and our hearts will cry, these bones will sing great are you, Lord, and all the earth will shout your praise, and our hearts will cry, these bones will sing, great are you, Lord, and all the earth will shout your praise, and our hearts will cry, these bones will sing, great are you, Lord, and it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only, 'cause great are you, Lord, and great are you, Lord.
Hello, my name's Ethan Johnson. I've been coming up to Discover Point for about 6 months now, and this is my story. So basically it started, I want to say, probably around a year ago. The religion I was in with my family, I kind of had lived in it my whole life, just for them. I'd come to realize that in my late teenage years that I didn't really want it, but I was going through the motions and doing it for them. And so, you know, my heart wasn't in it because I didn't believe it. I had been in it all my life, but couldn't prove anything to myself. So I heard about Discover Point from a coworker. I was working at Bread and Butter on the Covington Square. Her name was Reagan. I'd heard about Discover Point, and we'd had a couple of conversations, and I'd seen how happy she was, you know, in life, and just I'd hear her play some worship music in the kitchen sometimes while she was working. And so that piqued my interest a little bit, I could say. And so we had conversations here and there, and I decided I wanted to try that, to be a Christian. Didn't go over so well with my family. Long story short, they put the ultimatum to me that you can stay here or you can be a Christian, but you can't do both. That was rough. Honestly thought about giving up on it right then and there. I almost did. But Dean and Julie, Reagan's parents, decided, you know, after she talked to them that they would open up their home to me, which meant a lot to me because here's someone that they've never met. They've never even seen me before. And Reagan at this point had only known me for 5-6 months. And so they're going on her word for someone she hasn't really known that long and they've never met. But they decided, you know what? Yeah, door's open. Come live with us. And that was hard. I mean, it was. I mean, I wasn't interested in the religion, but they were still my family. And that sucked a lot. But I decided to do it, and I moved in with Dean and Julie. And they'd invited me to go to Discover Point, and they said, you know, no pressure. We're just invitations out there. If you want to go, we're going Sunday. Feel free to tag along. And the religion I was raised in, I was very skeptical of churches. I was taught most of my life that they're only after your money, that's the only thing they want, that they're not going to preach what the Bible actually teaches and tell you to, you know, make changes or this is what you should be doing because that might scare away their cash influx, basically. But, so I decided, you know, I'll go. If I don't like it, I don't have to, I guess. The first time I went there, Pastor David said something that kind of, like, struck my soul because he was talking about something, and the only phrase I remember was the dark night of the soul, which was exactly what I had been going through for a while, and I was like, okay, that's probably not a coincidence. So I decided to keep going, and then he said something that kind of like tore all my walls down. He was getting, I forget what the topic was, but he was up there and he was getting really into it and animated, and he said, if you don't like me, if you don't like the way I preach, it's like, there are several other churches in the area. I'm like, okay. That just took something I'd been taught all my life and just tore it straight down. And I really appreciated that. And it was at that moment that I'm like, I'm gonna keep coming here. I like this place. This feels like a home, like God is here. And so Dean and Julie invited me to go up to Passion for the 5 Alives they have sometimes. And something got said there and it really struck a chord with me. I forget his name, but he was talking about being a wanderer. And that's kind of what I felt like for most of my life because I was wandering around. I didn't really believe what I was raised in, but, you know, I was there. I was wandering around. And I felt something there that I hadn't felt all my life. And I couldn't describe it. I couldn't put a feeling on it. But it was at that moment that I decided to give my life to Jesus. I got saved in that moment, and I've done my best to keep going with that so far, to keep learning. Going to Discover Point, I volunteer now, which is actually really nice. I'm generally more of a quiet, shyer person, and they put me on ushering, so it kind of forces me to talk to people. I have to, like, you know, greet them, hey, how you doing? If they want to have a conversation, stand there and talk to them, which brings me out of my shell a little bit. And it really makes it feel like home, like a family. I get to know some of the people there, I'm good friends with some of the people there. I have the privilege of working with one of them in my secular job. He's hilarious and great. And then, you know, the life group I'm in too, it not only helps me to get to know people, you know, around my age group, but it also helps me study and learn more about God through His Word, which is invaluable. Everyone in my life group, you know who you are, so thank you for putting up with me and my weirdness. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more grateful to God for the chance He gave me because, you know, we all don't deserve anything, but He gave me the chance, and He's used Discover Point and everyone in it to help me. And so if you're considering Discover Point, then you won't find a better place. Not here, not in Georgia. I say that with confidence.
what's going on? I'm Kenny Shepherd, and this is my wife, Rayshana Shepherd.
We were members of another church, but we really felt like we wanted to make a move because, one, for me, I wanted something that was a good foundation for the kids. And so a good youth ministry was super important for us.
Right.
So he looked it up online.
Right.
And it looks really good online.
Right. And so we kept tuning in Sunday after Sunday. Right. And it got to a point, and I was like, hey, we need to go check this out.
I was like, we're in a pandemic. We're not going anywhere.
Right. And so I actually said, I'll go for it. I'll go check it out, and I'll bring the reports back. And going that Sunday, it was amazing because we were talking about being part of a church, like she said, foundation for our kids, and just being part of a healthy church. Right. And that message Pastor David preached on, it was about being part of a healthy church. Like, there's no perfect church, but there's a healthy church. You want to be part of a healthy church. And I just felt the Holy Spirit just moving,
you
speaking
said they played a song.
Yes.
You said the ministry played a song, one of your favorite
right.
Christian songs, and he called me after the service and was just like,
I remember that. Wow. Yeah.
God is speaking to me, and I feel like this is where we're supposed to be, because not only did the message hit home for him, and I watched it online, but he said that the music ministry, they played one of his favorite songs at the time, and he was just like, I mean, when he walks in, he just knew. I think you even cried a little bit.
I did, but you weren't supposed to say that.
He cried a little bit.
True enough. So not long after that, I got hooked up with a life group. Pastor David Collinsworth was leading a men's group on Wednesdays, and so I started going there with him, and that was a blast, getting connected with other men, people that loved God and want to study the Word. And
which I noticed a difference in him, because I know at our previous church, that's one thing he wanted to do was connect with other like-minded individuals, and he really wanted to be able to just talk about the gospel with a group of people. And when he joined that life group, it was a blessing for us because it really relaxed him at home as far as being able to get it out of his system and talk. But he grew a stronger connection with the people at Discover Point. And I mean, he loved it.
Right. And at that time, I guess I was coming home talking to you about it so much, and then I decided to go to the next steps, mm-hmm. And I did the next steps, and then after the life group was over, I actually joined the youth ministry with Chad, and there again, God led me there to minister to the teenagers, to the youth, and wow, that's a passion of mine too, just being able to minister, period, and it's awesome. It's been awesome. And
then we came in, he really wanted me and the kids to start attending in person, and honestly, I was terrified to do so, and he wanted to go on Easter as our first service, and we made a compromise because I don't want to go on the busiest Sunday of the year, or one of the busiest Sundays, so we said that next Sunday. And I can say that first Sunday the kids went to Discover Kids, Cassidy wanted to go to both services. She loved it, and I loved it. I loved the check-in system. I loved that they had separate places to go. I mean, it was everything that I wanted in a children's ministry for the kids. So I was pretty much sold from that point on. And then when I walked in and saw a coffee shop, that spoke directly to my heart. And It just was a lot of friendly faces. And of course, he knew everybody at that point. So I knew this was where we were supposed to be. And I mean, he had already been saying that, but it was definitely confirmation for me and the kids. So then that led us going more Sundays. And so I took my next steps, which honestly, I never saw myself serving at a church. That's just not something that I felt I was ever led to do. And honestly, not to say that I wanted to do, but it just felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. And meeting Pastor David and his wife, it really pushed me to want to serve. And I ended up serving in the coffee shop, which is like, again, it just spoke directly to my heart. And so it was just super cool for him and I to be serving at a church, because even in our last church experience, he attempted to serve several times, and I just kind of stayed in the background. I never felt comfortable enough to do that, and so I never saw that that would be something that I wanted to do. And it's just a complete change in me, because I know he wanted to serve. He has a heart for serving, and it's just been a surprising experience.
Right, God opening doors.
Yes.
Like, wow, getting connected. It's just being able to live out your calling is beautiful, and we found it here at Discover Point.
Right.
I just felt that God has just worked so faithfully, and I was lost. Like, I don't really talk about my story because it's sad, and but now that I realize that what God has done for me, I'm grateful for everything, the good and the bad. My name is Veronica Torres. I've been coming to Discover Point for about 4 to 5 years now. I came here, I was going through my separation. I just decided to show up one day, and I saw this life group on the wall, and I was gonna go in there, but then I was just like, no, this is not for me. And I was there so early, so I was just like, well, maybe this isn't for me. So I went to Starbucks, but I don't know if something just called me to go back there. Coming to the life group and then just going to church every day and just practicing what I've been learning. It just made me realize that I am grateful for everything that I have, and I feel like I owe this to myself, to my kids. It's my, how do I explain it? It's my duty as a Christian to continue to do God's work, you know? That's why I decided to continue and decided to get baptized, because I feel like that was my seal of like, okay, you really are going to be committed to this? We're going to get baptized. And I just did it without my family knowing. Nobody knew I was getting baptized. I just did it for myself. What made me decide to serve was like, I felt I was going at the right path, and I felt like, okay, I accomplished this. What else do I need to better myself and to serve God? And I remember there was when you were talking one day about serving, it's just more than just coming to church, and that stuck to me. And I was like, well, what else can I do? And I was just like, well, I could help the community if I just volunteer, even if it's just holding the door and greeting people. I do see that does make a difference, especially for the first time visitors. It does. It doesn't only just make the visitors happy, it just makes me happy as well. As cheesy as it sounds, it does. Like, I don't, how do I explain it? It's just God has worked with me, has done so much for me, more than anybody. I don't know how to explain it, and I just feel like this is my way to give back, you know? So, and just being around people that have the same belief that God is a great God and He loves us and that He died for us. People who have that same mentality, and you surround yourself with those people, just makes yourself and your soul feel so good. And if you're the person that just feels like there's something missing, it's because there is something missing. I think we all seek the same thing. It's just love. And I feel the only person that could feel that love is God. I mean, who else? When you really comprehend that in your mind to understand that He died for me, who else will be able to do that? As a parent, I get it, because I'm a mom and I will do anything for my kids, right? So to know that He died for me, I don't know what kind of other love somebody is looking for or accept. Like, I don't have to change who I am. I don't have to be different. Like, I am loved just by who I am, and that's enough for Him. And people miss that, and people want that from other people, and you can't find that from anybody else but God, you know?
How incredible were those stories that you just heard? You know, there's a common theme between each of those individual stories. It's all about taking next steps. And that's exactly what our mission here at Discover Point is all about, is helping people get connected to their next step of life-changing Christ. And so what is God speaking to you about today? What is your next step? Is it serving? Is it getting connected to a life group? Or is it partnership? Or maybe it's the most important step, which is taking that step of faith and asking Jesus into your life. And in order to do that, all you simply need to do right now is just ask Jesus to come into your life. Just simply go, Jesus, I receive you into my life today. And if you do that today, we would love to connect with you. As Chad's leading us in worship today, go ahead right now and text DP Next Steps to 94,000. And there's gonna be a couple of options I just mentioned to you, whether it's salvation, getting connected to a life group, serving, or maybe even partnership. Whatever that looks like for you, we want you to go ahead right now and fill out that form.
From the rising sun till the kingdom come, your faithful love is unfailing. Though shadows stir and tempests turn, you, oh God, are unchanging. And through every hour, and I will recall my hope is Jesus. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. And I lift my eyes, I won't forget, and how great your faithfulness. When battle's near, and I will not fear, your promises are unshaken, and my faith is sure of nothing more than Christ alone, my portion. And through every hour, and I will recall my hope is Jesus. faithfulness, your faithfulness. There'll be a season for joy and weeping in everything. Our God is faithful, His arms are open, and I will come running, and now and always. Our God is faithful. There'll be a season for joy and weeping in everything. Our God is faithful, and His arms are open, and I will come running, and now and always. Our God is faithful, and great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness.
Well, guys, thank you again so much for joining us today. Let me just close this out in prayer. Father, I thank you so much just for all that you've done in our lives, in our church back in 2021. We thank you for the individual stories that we just heard, their testimonies of life change, Lord God. And Father, I just believe that 2022 is going to be even better. I believe that everyone that's been listening to today, that God, that you are working in their lives, Lord, and that this is going to be the best year of life change that they've ever experienced. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks for joining us, guys.